Hi, my name is Sebastian Stubbe. I'm the CEO of Pine State Regional Center. On behalf of our whole team, I welcome your interest in our EB-5 program. I look forward to spending some time with you, and I hope you find this brief summary informative and helpful. Before we get started, I kindly remind you that this presentation is only informational and not an offer to sell securities. We always recommend that you consult your own advisors before you make any investment decisions. Pine State Regional Center is currently offering an investment opportunity into the second phase of the successful Big River Steel project, an EB-5 project in a rural targeted employment area. The Big River Steel Phase 2 project offers EB-5 investors a series of unique benefits. Thanks to the use of bridge equity, the project is already fully financed, has already created all the necessary jobs, and is already profitable. When choosing an EB-5 project, safety should be your main concern. In particular, there are four main risks to focus on. First, is the regional center a good partner for you with your best interests in mind? Then, does the EB-5 project provide you with a solid path to getting a green card? Thirdly, are you confident that the project will create enough jobs so that the conditions on your green card can be removed? And finally, is the project likely to have sufficient capital to repay you your investment at the end of the process? Our regional center and our Big River Steel Phase 2 EB-5 project are uniquely positioned to help EB-5 investors address each of these risks. First of all, we're an independent regional center, which means we're not affiliated or owned by the developers of the EB-5 project. This avoids any conflict of interest, and our only fiduciary obligation is the investor. Furthermore, we work very closely with the government to ensure a safe and successful execution. Secondly, Big River Steel is in a rural targeted employment area. That ensures that investors can invest at the lower rate and not worry about employment calculations, which can make other TEAs more problematic. Thirdly, our project employed bridge equity to be fully financed prior to beginning construction, which mitigates financing risk and completion risk. And as of today, Phase 2 has already created all the jobs, so there is no I-829 risk for the investor. And finally, the Big River Steel project has an exceptionally conservative capital stack and is already a fully operational and profitable business. So let's go through each of these four areas in some more detail, starting with our regional center. Pine State Regional Center is a division of Arkansas Capital Corporation, one of the oldest economic development corporations in the United States. Our firm is a well-known nonprofit organization and has operated for over 60 years with success and integrity. The firm was founded by Winthrop Rockefeller and other top business leaders in the 1950s, with the single mission of creating economic activity and quality jobs. And that mission remains true today. Moreover, our firm has a close working relationship with the government. And it was originally the governor of Arkansas who came to Arkansas Capitol and asked us to establish a regional center for Arkansas and the surrounding southern states. We place a heavy emphasis on risk control, and our management team has a very long track record of safe and successful economic development. We invest billions of dollars through a variety of job-creating programs, including new market tax credits, small business lending, venture capital, business plan competitions, and of course, EB-5. A meaningful differentiator between Pine State Regional Center and many other regional centers is that we are an independent regional center. This means we are not affiliated with or owned by the developer of the project, and we can therefore avoid potential conflicts of interest. It is very common in EB-5 that the regional center and developer are one and the same company. While this does not automatically mean that there will be a conflict of interest, we believe the regional center exists to protect the EB-5 investor, while of course developers are incentivized to maximize profit. As we do not share in any economic ownership with the Big River Steel developers, our entire focus can be on protecting the EB-5 investor. Also, unlike many regional centers, our firm is regulated and audited by multiple state and federal agencies. This makes it easier for investors to perform due diligence and gain comfort with the professionalism of our organization. Our firm will continue to operate as we have for over 6 decades, and EB5 investors can count on Pine State Regional Center to be by their side for the duration of their green card process and beyond. In 2019, Pine State successfully closed the Phase 1 offering of the Big River Steel project, and the facility is today the world's most advanced high-grade steel producer. We work closely with the state and federal governments, and members of Congress have called it the poster project of what EB5 was meant to be. Using bridge equity, the project was able to begin construction immediately, finish ahead of schedule, and begin profitable operations right out of the gate. The project was one of the most profitable EB5 projects ever, with over $270 million of EBITDA on $1.35 billion in sales in just the first 12 months of operation. Also, the project created over 8 times the necessary jobs for EB5. Ultimately, it was a great example of the benefit of rural TEAs and the use of bridge equity. Now BRS has launched an $870 million expansion, and Pine State is raising $100 million of EB5 for that expansion. The project is a carbon copy of Phase 1. Same company, same management team, same ownership group, same regional center, and same bridge equity structure. The project is located in a true rural targeted employment area. This means that the project continues to benefit from the lower investment price level and without having to worry about shifting unemployment trends, which are expected to affect many TEAs. Investors in Big River Steel may also benefit from other potential reform proposals, including accelerated processing and set-aside visas for rural projects. The project has received an unusual amount of government support for an EB5 project, both at the city, state, and federal levels, and the state of Arkansas designated Big River Steel as the state's first super project. Worth noting is that former Arkansas governor and U.S. President Bill Clinton was very active in recruiting the Big River Steel project to locate in Arkansas. For an EB5 investor, all of this means there are many stakeholders who are working to make sure Big River Steel is a great success, including the current administration of President Trump, who frequently mentions Big River Steel as a shining example that the U.S. can once again be a leader in manufacturing.
Big River Steel is investing billions of dollars to build a brand new plant in Texas and to upgrade another one in Arkansas.
With the help of bridge equity, the whole $870 million financing for Phase 2 was completed up front, so there's no financing risk for EB5 investors. Construction was able to begin immediately in the summer of 2019, and all future investors get credit for jobs created from day one. Uniquely for EB5 investors, Big River Steel Phase 2 has already created all the necessary jobs for the full capital raise, entirely mitigating the removal of conditions risk for investors. The final key question to ask yourself is whether the project is likely to have enough capital to repay you your investment at the end of the process. Another unique advantage of the Big River Steel project is that while most EB5 projects are fundraising during planning or construction phases, investors in our project get to evaluate an expansion project of a factory that is already fully operational. Big River Steel is today the most advanced high-grade steel plant in the world and is already creating cash flow on a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week schedule. Another factor that should give investors meaningful comfort is the unusually high-profile caliber of equity investors. Koch Industries, the largest private industrial company in the world, is the largest equity investor in the project. Other major investors in Big River Steel include Texas Pacific Group, one of the top private equity groups in the world, and the Arkansas Teachers Retirement System, one of the largest state pension fund institutions in Arkansas. Warren Buffett's company BNSF has also provided meaningful capital, and its railway infrastructure is one of the key reasons for Big River Steel's operating efficiency. More recently, one of the oldest steel companies in America, U.S. Steel, acquired a sizable minority stake in Big River Steel, further affirming the strength and attractiveness of the company. The These groups are all very sophisticated and conservative investment companies, and each of these groups has independently done extensive due diligence on Big River and all arrived at the conclusion that not only will they be able to get their money back, but they are well positioned to make many multiples on their investments. Since the EB5 investors sit in front of them in the capital stack, this should give investors a lot of confidence. Finally, the amount of equity in the project is much higher than typical for EB5 projects, while the proportion of EB5 capital is smaller than usual. In addition to its other technological advancements, Big River Steel is also a green recycling facility. In fact, Big River Steel is the first and only steel plant in the world to receive the LEED designation for environmental sustainability. This is a powerful selling point as it helps its OEM customers to meet their own sustainability targets. Furthermore, Big River Steel is the most productive steel plant in North America, as measured by cash flow per employee. This is particularly beneficial at a time when other competitors are struggling with bloated payrolls and inefficient operating structures, making Big River Steel very nimble and able to weather any market downturns. In addition to its productive employee structure, Big River Steel also benefits from being very energy efficient. Currently, Big River has the second highest operating margins in North America, but upon completion of the Phase 2 expansion, the company will be number 1. Another benefit for EB5 investors is that it is very easy to perform due diligence on Big River Steel. The project has received broad press coverage from around the world, and we would gladly point you in the direction of countless articles, podcasts, and videos on the internet. Finally, we're always happy to host you for a visit. Big River Steel is conveniently located to the airport in Memphis, Tennessee, and we can assure you that a tour of the plant is an exciting and eye-opening experience. Unlike the majority of EB5 projects, Big River Steel offers you a chance to evaluate a project that is already fully operational. If you're interested in learning more about our regional center and our Big River Steel Phase 2 project, please contact us for an investor eligibility questionnaire. On behalf of Pine State, I wish you a safe and successful journey.